Come on, brother. You ready to do some locked in with me? Come on, brother. Are you ready to get locked in with your boy?
What's up, you dirty little greaseballs? What the heck? So today I got another locked in challenge for you. I decided that since I did a couple of these in sort of like the transit or survival map theme, I would go ahead and make a couple of these specifically for buried, and then I'll probably eventually do some of these for die rise. Now, I'm not going to go over the rules too much in this challenge. I will have them in the description, but I've done this video before in a couple different areas, so I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into it. First things first, I do want to jump into the map breakdown. So looking in the starting area, this is the main dining center of the saloon. This is where the patrons would order their drinks and go sit down at the table, but we're going to be fighting zombies in it. And the other main feature of this building is going to be like the hotel hallway that's upstairs. This is actually one of my more favorite spots when I'm playing Buried. It's not necessarily the best place to camp in all of Buried, but it's kind of a cool spot, and I like how uneven it is. It does make headshots pretty difficult, as you'll see later, but I'll go ahead and save that. Now, on the other side of the catwalk, there are like multiple little motel rooms that people could stay in, but I'm not going to be in those rooms whatsoever during this challenge. All of these rooms have multiple points of entry, and they're way too tiny to actually do any training in, so they're just kind of dead zones for me. When it comes to these locked-in challenges, there will sometimes be rooms that have doors that are just open by default to the outside. The whole goal of playing locked in is to not go outside, so you will see that I don't utilize the catwalk at all. So wave 10, I'm just camping in my little spot. Nothing too major, but at this point the block is quite hot, so I do decide to jump out of the hole there and just start training down below. Now, I don't actually hate the downstairs bar area for training. The only issue though is once you unlock those stairs with the couch, then the zombies just kind of leak from like that whole entire side of the map, making the training really not that great. I haven't actually spent a long time in the saloon, so it was pretty difficult to like navigate my way around, and I ultimately die because I confuse one of the tables for being one of the jumpable objects. Now, going into the next game here, I do decide to try things a little different. So I did like training down below, but it was pretty obvious that buying that couch was going to be a big problem. So I used the trample steam to sort of like glitch my way up to the top there, so I could buy the AN94 without having to actually open the stairs. I mean, you see, we're here on wave 8, it's working, I'm doing my thing, but again, I have no experience with it, so I end up taking another L on wave 8. I just don't have the motion in the ocean. It was honestly really difficult to understand how to train in there effectively, but I think the last couple attempts helped me get it down. Now, I did find something out, and that is when you trample steam your way into the camping room, the zombies down below don't actually have a way to get up to the upper floor. So if you sit on the very edge and try to get your hitbox over the edge of the camping room as much as possible, you are able to get the zombies to spawn down below. When you're playing in a solo game, there's only 24 zombies that can spawn all at once. So if I've got 10 zombies down below trying to find out how to get to me, that can't reach me, then I only have to deal with about 14 zombies at a time. My strategy from this point was just to try to hold off for as long as possible and get as many zombies below on that lower floor. I do understand that that strategy is a bit cheesy, but at the same time, I'm using an unupgraded AN94, and I'm having a really difficult time landing headshots in the uneven hallway. I was still getting overwhelmed pretty quickly, so it wasn't like I was using some major exploit to go really far. Now, speaking on the AN94's damage profile, this gun is a bit complicated. So it's got 2 rounds that initially fire out a bit faster, and then the gun slows down to a 625 RPM. Now you combine 120 damage and a 4 times headshot boost, and that little 2-tap that you can do to the zombie's head is almost as powerful as the standard unupgraded ray gun. But speaking about the automatic fire, as I said, 625 RPM at 480 damage, so up until like wave 13, 14, 15, the AN94 honestly behaves a lot like just a standard ray gun, except it shoots a bit faster and it's a bit more forgiving when it comes to accuracy. So before I look at wave 15, I do want to show off a little bit of 14. This is what I was talking about. having a couple zombies down below on the bottom floor is really not helping me in that big of a way. I do end up having to bail, so wave 15 onwards I do just spend down here. It seemed like more effort than it was honestly worth. Now at this point I had died multiple times down in the saloon, so I was a lot more aware of where the zombies were going and where I was going between the tables. At this point I'm not trying to jump on the tables at all. I've sort of learned my lesson. There's only the one in the very back that you can actually jump on top of, and it's not like that really protects you in any way. Also, because of the way the zombie health scales, I quickly realized that using the AN-94 against them really wasn't going to be much of an opportunity. Really, my only goal with these locked-in challenges is to get to about wave 15. So you can call this a win here, but I do go quite a bit farther. Wave 20 honestly isn't much different than wave 15. Because I'm not shooting my gun to kill the zombies, I'm not really seeing any sort of increase in difficulty. You could say that maybe the spawns are a bit faster, but honestly that kind of just feels like it helps me, because all I can really do is group up the full set of 24 zombies, put down a new trample steam, and try to kill as many of them as possible before the next group starts to spawn in. So if anything, it just kind of felt like the game was getting a bit easier. There's not really any perks to talk about, so I guess I'll talk about the drops real quick. There were a couple drops that I found to be helpful. I would say the most helpful was probably going to be Carpenter. It would slow the pace down in the earlier rounds, which did help me while I was camping, but it got less and less useful the more I relied on just hoarding the zombies on the bottom floor. So normally if Carpenter is not that big of a help, sometimes the nuke will be a big help, and I didn't really find that here. Because my goal is only wave 15, then usually a nuke will either end the round or get very close to it, so it can be helpful in that way, but honestly I would rather not grab a nuke unless I'm confident that it's going to end the round. It's just so chaotic in here that I'd rather not reset all the zombie spawns. And then I think it's safe to say that double points just didn't help me. There's essentially nothing to spend my money on in here. The trample steam is free, and so is the shield. Fun fact, the shield is free.
Bro. Aw, fuck you, bro. I know how to play this game.
I guess a double points early on is great. It does help me get into the Bowie knife a little bit faster. You could say max ammo came in clutch. Because the AN-94 wall buy is on top and relies on me sort of parkouring with the trample steam, I did not have a lot of ammo. I ended up having to rely on getting max ammos to get more, but again, at the same time, I'm just not utilizing my gun all that much. Really, the only reason why I need ammo in it is in case I get an insta-kill. And that really is the main winner here. Insta-kill allows me to just sort of sit in a corner and spray all the zombies as they're coming towards me. So the only reason why I would say max ammo is important is because insta-kill is so important. When it comes to rating this challenge, it honestly feels like a no-brainer. At this point, I've done quite a bit of locked-in challenges, so I can just compare this one to the other ones. I don't really find this as exciting as Locked in the Apartments. That's where I had only Juggernog and the MP5. But also, I don't know, right? Because I don't really need Juggernog for these story maps because I have Permajug. So it kind of felt about the same, except there was a bit more wiggle room. Honestly, the only thing I don't like about this challenge is the amount of prep time it takes. If there was some way for this to just be a map on its own and I don't have to go through and set everything up, then that would be amazing. But in this case, because there is so much setup, I am going to put it under Locked in the Apartments, so it's going to go in the B tier above the Stairwell Only on Die Rise. And with that being said, that's just about everything. I do have more of these videos coming out for other parts of Buried, so be on the lookout. I'm probably going to rapid fire drop those as soon as I have them done. So, yeah, anyway, it's been cool.
Let's fucking go, baby. Let's fucking have